If you look at that, what do you see? Wolf in the sheep's skin, right? If you try to do this, disguised leadership, people are smarter than you are generally. They'll figure it out very quickly because they see these: manipulation, threat, coercing, peer pressure. No matter how nice, how kind you are, people will see through that. So this disguised leadership doesn't work from my perspective. So we need to get to genuine leadership. Then what is genuine leadership really? I think in many different research and leadership perspective, probably servant leadership came as close as it could be. It's something that human formulated. And the reason for that is, you remember all the nice adjectives that I showed for a good leader? Servant leadership pursue many of those. Listening, being a good attentive listener. Empathy, put yourself in their shoes. Healing, boy, this is a tough call. You want to be a leader, and you got to be able to heal even people. Mentally, I'm talking about mentally and psychiatrically. Awareness, you need to understand what's going around you very well. Persuasion, you got to really be able to talk to people and bring people into your camp. Conceptualization, you got to understand, looking at some phenomena and understand what's going on there. Foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of people like that, right? Building community. So you begin to see, okay, that's we see some of this in our Bible. You begin to see some characteristics that secular leaders are pursuing through servant leadership. This is the person who pioneered this concept, Robert Greenleaf. This is his book in 1970. And since then, there were numerous books and publications, papers came out under servant leadership, heavily influenced by Christianity. This is most popular image that servant leadership uses. Our Lord washing disciples' feet. So the question is, was our Lord really servant leader? We'll talk about that. That's the question. That's the question we should try to sort our minds around. Was our Lord Jesus Christ really servant leader? And consider whether he had all these. And we can learn, as these scholars try to do, we can learn from Jesus for this servant leadership. So that is a big question. And so I hope we can discuss this as we go along here. Strength of servant leadership. Long term, this is not a quick fix. It's transformational. Transformational to your life and work. That's a tall order, right? You have to change yourself. Concerns for their followers, shifting primary focus from organization to followers. So from thing to people. There are weaknesses, not a quick fix. How do you change yourself in 2 months? I had my boss, a long time back, who tried to do this. Lasted 2 days. He was a really arrogant, pompous guy. And joy of his day is driving people up to the wall. So he accomplished his mission for that day. And grown men would cry in front of this manager. I mean, he was really nasty person. So a lot of complaints, of course. And the research center that I worked for 15 years in Cleveland had a lot of racial and this kind of dysfunctional attributes. So headquarters, now I'm at headquarters. Headquarters told my research center, you got to shape up, do something, because there are too many complaints and too many managers like this guy. So old school thing. So we hired, what we do, we hired a bunch of consultants, went through all the survey and employee satisfaction surveys, identified top 10 things to do for managers and so on. So one of the things he had to do is try to be kind. Yeah, trying to be kind and personable and relatable. So he started walking down the hallway. He said, hey, how you doing? Okay. And the next day he popped into someone's office and said, good morning. And they were frightened. They were frightened. What is this guy up to now? So watching that reaction for 2 days, he said, I give up. If you want to fire me, fire me. I can't do this. So it's tough because you have to change. You have to change yourself into something other than you. And that's why the servant leadership is very attractive to secular people, because it's the holy grail, in my view, it's the holy grail that it's okay you don't get there, because it's holy grail. You will never get there, right? But you can say that I'm working toward it. That's my goal. So I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm working toward that. But it is such a challenging goal, so people will not say, okay, you're still a jerk, but that's okay, because you're working toward that goal, and we'll wait. So people like this. People like this servant leadership. So the question again is, can we do it? Can we achieve? It's got good attributes. Look at all this. It's got really good attributes. And people like to get there. And it's very, very, as close as it can be, in my view, from the concept that human minds can come up with. It's as close as what our Lord was trying to teach us. So the question is, two questions. One question was our Lord really servant leader? Second question is, can we do it with our ability, our willpower, our resolve? Can we do it? So those are the two questions I'm posing for you. Let's take a look at our Lord. The stuff that I learned from Bible, our Lord is not always just kind God, right? Always just loving God. He is the creator. He has this righteousness. He cannot be in the same place. He cannot withstand the sin. He is the righteous God. He is fearful God. He is the fearful God because of this nature. At the same time, he is compassionate God. He has compassion for us. I am who I am. You all know this. That's how God described himself. I am who I am. Doesn't need any more explanation. Doesn't need any editorial. He's just himself. Nobody created him. Nobody helped him become God. He's God. He's just perfect, self-contented. He's just him. So I think this is very powerful, because translating to our lives, how many times, how many hours in a day we try to please other people. We try to get recognition from others. We try to get compliments from others. You're a good person. You're doing well. Your work is great. You're such a good Christian. How many times are we seeking that assurance? It's because we are not creators. We always seek for somebody's approval of me. God doesn't need that. And I think that's such a powerful concept and understanding we must have about our God, that he doesn't need anybody's approval. He is himself. And that's why he can hold this righteousness. Of course, he knows no sin. He hasn't committed any sins. He is sin-free. So that's why he can be righteous. But also, he can be righteous because he doesn't have to get approvals from others. I'll explain some more why that is. And thank God, really, that he is also at the same time compassionate God. If he is only this, we have nothing but to fear God every day, every moment. Because he has to, right now, even at this instance, he has to send the fire, ball of fire, and perish all of us, right at this instance, because we're all sinners. But he is a patient, loving God. While this is his character, this is also his character. So let's pursue some more. Exodus chapter 19, verse 24 and 21. It's such a blessing for me. God came to my life in 2003. I was churchgoer for 15 years before that, but I was really a churchgoer, not a believer. And I was deacon, I was elder, because you paid your dues to your church, you serve the church diligently, faithfully. Then church gives you deaconship and eldership as like badge of something. So I was getting all that. I didn't know God. I didn't meet God until 2003. So he came to me. I was longing and seeking for him, of course, but he came to me. It's such a blessing. And soon after, he illuminated his righteousness and compassionate characters through this chapter 19. You all know this background. I wouldn't go through this background. You know, Moses is getting up to Mount Sinai to receive 10 Commandments and all that. So God is calling Moses and told him twice, go down and make sure people don't climb up to this mountain to see me. So I read these verses many times before. It's such a well-known verses. But I didn't get that enlightenment until God came into my life and showed me who he is. So it's a startling discovery that I had. This is the first time when Moses said, I did all the fence building. I told everybody, don't come near the mountain, so it's all safe. Don't worry about it, God. And this is what he said. Go down, warn the people, so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish.